Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the weekend, and we've got more combine coverage coming up. And I know what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we saw the defensive backs and special teamers go. So that was the main storyline from the combine yesterday. And I know some people are going to want to talk about that, and we will. But before we do that, I want to kind of do a little bit of a coda to the front seven players from Thursday because I understand that realistically, to a Seahawks fan, the defensive backs and special teamers are not the most interesting group. It's just not going to be one of those years where that's a high priority. We've spent as much money on safety as any team in NFL history. We literally might be spending more money on safety this year than any team ever. And there's not much we can do there. Maybe we could use a cornerback. Like, I could see us getting a nickel cornerback, maybe a pure nickel. But outside corner seems pretty good. We just extended our kicker. We extended our punter last year. Our special team unit is great. So realistically, there isn't a heck of a lot going on in that unit that I feel like we need to spend a ton of time on. I will talk about some of the guys a little bit later today, but I want to wrap up the front seven guys, which should be way more interesting to almost all Seahawks fans because they actually did a little bit of work yesterday as well. The on-field work portion is followed the next day by the bench press. And because when you're a front seven player, your bench press matters, I wanted to make sure that I talked about this at length. I talked about it a little bit in the video yesterday evening, but I want to make sure we kind of encapsulate all the interesting stuff going on with the bench press for the defensive linemen and linebackers. So that's going to be what this video concerns. And later today, we'll move on to the defensive backs and special teamers, and I'll talk about what needs to be talked about there. But this was kind of like the final piece to the combine puzzle for these guys. And I think that's going to be very compelling to a lot of people. So just going to briefly kind of try to take a bird's eye view of the bench press numbers for everybody who bench pressed yesterday and focus in particular on some guys who I think made a positive case for themselves, or, of course, in some cases, a negative case for themselves. There are certainly instances of it on both sides. So let's start with the defensive ends. So this kind of encapsulates the edge players as well as the bigger defensive ends and go from there. Okay, so the top edge rusher, the top defensive end player in terms of bench reps was Lonnie Phelps with 31. And that's a little bit of a surprise because Lonnie Phelps is one of the smaller guys in this group. And he's one of the speedier guys as well. He had a respectable 4.5540 time. He looked fairly explosive. So the fact that he was able to pair that up with a really nice bench press number of 31 tops in his position is very, very impressive to me. Lonnie Phelps may be moving up draft boards at this point. I think he's one of the big winners coming out of this group. He had a respectable showing running and a very nice showing lifting. Another guy who caught my attention is Keon White. This is a bigger guy. He's listed as an edge, but he's like 280 something, 284, 285. I don't know if he's going to be able to play edge in most situations. Maybe he's a 5 tech, but that's pretty big. He did not run the 40, so we don't know exactly how he did there, but he did have a very nice showing at the bench press, 30 reps, very workable, very solid. So gotta like that. And the other big winner to me would be Adebawore, who killed it, crushed it, running the 40 yesterday, of course, is a 280-pound plus guy running that sub 4.540 off the charts. He paired that up with a very respectable 27 reps on the bench. So you put all that stuff together, and Adebawore is probably rocketing up boards as we speak. This guy's going to go higher than anybody expected previously. We have a grouping of guys who did fine, but we need more information, like Zach Harrison, Miles Murphy. They gave you 25 reps. Tyree Wilson did 23, but he didn't really do any other testing. We're going to have to see what he does at his pro day. Mike Morris, I don't think this is good enough given the fact that he had such a weak 40 time. needed to be better. Byron Young, on the other hand, ran and showed great explosiveness. So 22 reps, I think, is totally workable for him. So you get down to the bottom of this list here, and you've got Foskey with 22. I don't know if that's good enough for me to feel comfortable with him, given the fact that he had a not stellar on-field workday. It wasn't very good. I don't know how to feel about Foskey right now, man. I'm just pulled in two different directions there. That's one thing that stands out, but it doesn't stand out as much as the two big losers at this position on the bench press. You've got Lucas Van Ness, who had a very weak 17 reps, which is a bit of a problem to me because he's a bigger guy. I know he ended up kind of offsetting that by running fairly well, but there are some real issues with Van Ness at this point. And Andre Carter II, his draft stock is just dead. 11 reps with everything else, no. Honestly, at this point, you could tell me Andre Carter II is going to go undrafted, and I would believe you. Like, this guy's draft stock is just completely tanked. 11 reps when he already was having other problems coming into the day. Like, I don't see nothing there anymore. Now let's take a look at some of the defensive tackles and their bench press numbers. Star of the day for this group was definitely Mazi Smith. I don't believe Ika even lifted. Siaki Ika did not do the bench press to my knowledge. So 34 reps was easily the most at his position. And at this point, I think Mazi Smith may be moving up above Ika as the premier nose tackle in this draft. He might go too high to even be drafted by the Seahawks, realistically. He may be a late first round or early second round pick. Both are possible. But Mazi Smith is definitely turning some heads here. He's really capitalizing, in my opinion, on Ika's not very good combine so far. Jacqueline Roy lifting 30 reps is notable because he did not have a very good on-field day. So him kind of salvaging things with a 30-rep performance is a big deal. Keanu Benton was a guy I spoke about yesterday. He had a respectable 25, workable, but nothing over the top. Brian Brzee getting 22 is maybe a little disappointing, but I'm a little more prone to be willing to live with it because he did move well. He, ran that, what was it, the 4.9 340. It might have even been a little better than that officially. Gervon Dexter had a similar 22 rep performance, which, again, I'm just being pulled in two different directions on Gervon Dexter. I don't know what to make of it. Like, I guess he moves pretty well for a 310-pound guy, but a 310-pound guy, you would kind of hope he could do a little bit better than this, but it's not bad. You had Pickens here as well, doing 22, same as Brzee and Dexter. So Pickens, I guess that's okay for a 3-tech type, and that's what Pickens would probably be. So yeah, maybe a little disappointed in these three guys right here, but I don't think it's anything terrible. And that's basically it. There aren't a ton of defensive tackles to look at here. Basically, other than Mazi Smith at the top, and then a couple of these guys who aren't big names at the bottom, like Mustapher and Dante Stills, pretty much everybody was kind of hanging around the middle here. Everybody was doing kind of okay. So the defensive tackle group, I don't think any of them did anything massive other than Mazi Smith to change their fate one way or the other. Again, not all defensive tackles are made equal. Mazi Smith is very different from a guy like Zach Pickens, for instance. It's the just kind of the nature of it. And finally, I want to take a look at the linebackers here. Very interesting result right up top here. Owen Papo, who was the fastest linebacker at the Combine, had great 40 time, great 10-yard split. Seemed like he was going to be an undersized but extremely agile and quick linebacker. Also set the benchmark for reps on the bench. 29 reps for Owen Papo. 225 pounds. Great 40 time, great bench press numbers, so he's got strength to back up his speed. So Owen Papo is going this way. He's going this way right there. And while there are concerns about the size, there is more than enough positive stuff here for Papo. So he's maybe, if you made a list of the top 5, even top 3 biggest winners of the Combine so far, he would probably be on it. Sewell gave you 27 reps, which he kind of needed to be around there because he's so big. But I don't know. I don't hate Sewell as much as I thought I was going to at all. Like, he moved a little better than I thought. His 40 time ended up being respectable, and he combined that with a good performance on the bench. Like, this is nice. This is respectable. Trenton Simpson, 25 reps, solid, solid, solid. Nothing wrong with that. Given how quickly he moved yesterday, how fast he was able to run, combined with the fact that he came in 10 pounds heavier than I expected, 25 reps is plenty. I'm encouraged by that. Solid, solid work. Trenton Simpson remains one of my favorite guys to try to get at number 20 overall if he's still there. And I guess the big loser here has to be Overshown, who I kind of had in my mixed category yesterday. He brought up the rear among the linebackers. A lot of linebackers, by the way, didn't do the bench press, but Overshown only did 15 reps. Not great for a guy who was already kind of throwing me mixed signals yesterday. You know, he came in, he's kind of small, he's not as fast as you would like for a small guy. Now it seems like he might be a little bit on the weaker side. He did play for a big school. It's not like he was playing for, Pepperdine or anything like that, but does seem like maybe there isn't enough there in terms of his attributes to feel very good about him. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to take a deeper look at Overshown. Maybe there's stuff that just doesn't show up unless you watch game tape. But I don't think this was a very good combine for Overshown. Luckily, it was a good combine for a handful of other linebackers to more than make up for it, I think. So these, to me, are the winners and losers of the bench press. And that basically puts a cork on the front 7 combine performances. So let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later. We'll take a look at some of the defensive back stuff from yesterday as well. See if there's anything we can learn that's meaningful. Go Hawks.